Saturday, May the 31st, my weekly wrap up as I think through and work through some of the decisions I'm making about being here in Canada and opening a business in the US and spending some time in Spain, yada, yada, yada. It occurred to me this week that I think the framing that I'm going to be using as I continue to work through all of these different decisions is to take kind of the country, United States, Canada, Spain, and think of it as a person. And that helps me. In the last episode, I talked about some of the challenges that Canada is facing and how maybe at first, a bunch of episodes ago, I said I didn't want to do anything here. And now I'm realizing that maybe there is an opportunity by leading by example on trying to create some opportunities here in Canada by addressing or working through some of the challenges that the country has. And then that got me thinking about, well, imagine though that a country was, like a person or maybe a business owner. And for example, the person in Canada, the business owner in Canada would say, I've got low productivity. I'm not investing any of my money. I've got a boss, a government that's ballooning their debt. And then I've got a government that is insistent on flooding the system with workers that aren't equipped to contribute meaningfully to the economy. So when you think about it like that, when you personify it, all of a sudden you think, okay, so if I'm a business owner and I've got low productivity, what do I need to do to boost productivity? If I've got a desire to not invest in my business because of the tariffs and the uncertainty, what would be needed in order to invest, and how can I take advantage of this window that might be open to me? Or if the government is ballooning their debt, what impact is that going to have to me as a business owner? Probably means that taxes are going to go up. They got to pay it off. There's going to be harder to hire people, all that sort of thing. So anyway, just got me thinking about personifying the countries and using that personification to think through my own decisions as I move along through this path of going to the US, doing the best I can here in Canada, and then sort of taking a life project approach to opportunities in Spain. But anyway, so that's what I was just thinking about this week. I went on my run this morning and was thinking through Elon Musk's decision and kind of just the resignation of him saying, I'm done. I tried to make a difference. A budget got passed or rather in the US, got to the House. It's got to go through the Senate, but it didn't appear to really take advantage of any of the things that I worked so hard to figure out for them. And so, bon voyage, I'm out of here. I'm going to go work back in my own private sector companies, and I'm just going to do a great job with those companies. We're going to generate tons of revenue. We're going to change the world, and you can tax the heck out of me if need be, but that's how I'm going to contribute to solving the problems that the U.S. is facing. I'm just going to go out and run really great businesses. And so on the one end, I was a little discouraged because I was like, man, if a guy like Elon Musk can't move the needle, what hope do the rest of us have? And then I got thinking, well, wait a minute. Governments have been in place since the beginning of time. The human condition suggests that we just need to be under the authority of someone or something. But there's an opportunity to maybe reposition how I see that and think, okay, well, maybe there's something to be said about running a really strong business and using the challenges that, say, I see here in Canada as a reflection of the challenges that I'm probably facing in my business. And then so if I just think of Canada being a reflection of everybody in Canada, if there's low productivity Canada-wide, that probably means most of the businesses are not productive. So what does it mean to run a productive business in that case? And so anyway, now I'm inspired and I'm encouraged. And I think that's the great thing about being an entrepreneur or a business owner. And I was sitting with a buddy last night and he was sharing that some of the people he knows, or a guy that he knows, I guess, was talking about how, being an entrepreneur is like one step away from being a psychopath, because you get up every day to work on something that's not guaranteed. And the only thing that keeps you going is the hope that it's going to work out, or the optimism that it's going to work out. And there's no factual basis for why you do what you do every day. And I thought that was very, very appropriate and very entertaining. And so anyway, Going into the weekend, some of the things that I am thinking about is how quickly I can address that low productivity problem that Canada is facing. In our business, it's tricky. We have a profile of worker that is super grateful to do the work. They haven't invested a lot in themselves for a whole bunch of economic or societal reasons, but that's maybe kind of our opportunity. If you've been listening to these episodes, you know that our company has been funding a Mexican labor company. And we've been doing that because, first of all, we just need tons of laborers, and Canada's already short people to do real work. And it's a long play because we need the workers. The workers don't exist in the marketplace. You can't just run an ad, have people beat a path to your door. That's just not a thing. And so as a business owner, you just have to have a more intentional long-term view. And so my intentional long-term view is to say, if we just started investing in people, if I just took the next 2 to 3 years and purely invested in people and said, if we can attract somebody who has an interest in doing this type of work, then let's invest in them, let's double down on them, let's give them a path so that they can be super productive, not just because that's the goal, but because in being productive, they'll be more valuable. They'll be more valuable for their own sake, which means we can pay them more. They'll be more valuable to the company because it means we will be able to do more and employ more people, and the whole cycle continues. And they'll be more valuable to the community at large. And so instead of buying equipment, because our business doesn't really lend itself to that, it's going to be a complete people focus exercise. And that's always been how I've approached what I do. But now I'm convicted that if Canada has this productivity problem, that's probably a reflection of our business having productivity challenges as well. And even though I'm trying to stay on top of it, it's now at the forefront of my mind. And then in sharing how I'm doing that through these episodes, plus a bunch of other stuff that maybe some other business owners say, okay, yeah, I get that Canada's not, it's not the US, it's more like Europe. And how can I make the most of what I have? What's my highest and best use here in Canada as a business owner or as an entrepreneur? And for me, it's investing in people. For others, like a friend of mine says, for him, it's all about investing in assets and putting them to work to get a result. But whatever it is, instead of saying, let's dial back or let's kind of hold off doing anything else in Canada, now I'm approaching it with no, I'm a Canadian, have a Canadian business. We've got people that depend upon what the decisions I make every day to provide for their livelihood. That's an awesome responsibility that I embrace every day. And so now how do I start tackling these challenges? If the cost of doing business is going up, how do I work against that? How do I make sure our cost of business is going down? If there's not going to be a lot of growth in our country, and we're going to watch our competitors maybe just slowly fade into the background by closing their doors, how do we become like number one or number two in our market? Whatever market I define, because there's like a market, but then you have to, for example, you can say I'm in the construction business. Okay, well, what construction business? Well, we're in the home building business. Okay, well, what kind of homes? Well, we're in the estate building homes. Okay, well, what kind of estates? Well, we're in the rural estate building home business. Okay, well, rural homes being built, what kind of properties? We are in the 10-acre plus rural home estate. So my point is, I would like to define the market that we're in more specifically. I'd like to become number one in that marketplace here in Canada, because if everything is going to slide, the service that we deliver to the marketplace is still going to be needed, whether Canada is doing great or not doing great. And I want our company to be the best provider of that service in the given markets that we're in. So anyway, big kind of mood change this week, thanks to some things that, like Elon Musk, that could be kind of depressing. But I think I can see where his rationale is coming from, and that's inspiring, because it just takes seeing someone else do something a different way so that you can then adjust what you're doing to get the desired outcome that you're looking for. And for me, I was trying to back away and kind of slow roll what I was doing here in Canada. Now I think I got kind of a new energy for how I can approach some of the things that are happening in Canada and how I can get excited about it and really lean into it while continuing to mitigate my own risks by starting a business in the U.S. where I think I'd have more success than I'd have here for the same level of input, and then of course to be able to afford to go and spend some time in Spain pursuing sort of bigger picture goals that hopefully outlive me. So anyway, that's my weekly wrap up, and I am enjoying the LinkedIn follow-ups that I'm getting from some of these episodes, and I'm getting to meet some great people. Some Christian entrepreneurs are reaching out, which is interesting because I didn't realize how many Christian entrepreneurs are in the marketplace that don't really have a practical outlet for some of the things that they're working through. Business coaching, Christian business coaching is not the same as talking to an entrepreneur that actually has a Judeo-Christian faith and is going into the marketplace every day to figure out how to work out their faith and serve based on some biblical principles, and more importantly, based on the life that we see Jesus led. So anyway, thanks for those comments. Connect anytime. LinkedIn is a great way to do that. I'm not super active on LinkedIn, but I do respond to messages. And then Twitter, of course, is where I have the most fun every single day, just reading what's going on in the world. Anyway, there's my weekly wrap up.